You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. Okay, this one's a quick one, but I think it's an important one. Titled, I Hate How Much I Care About Sports. Hi, I'm 26 and living with my fiance and have what feels like a basic question for you that I struggle with. We just hosted a Super Bowl party where 3 of our friends came over to watch the game at our apartment. I wanted the Chiefs to win and place a small wager on them. It wasn't anything crazy by any means. My problem is that I'm so competitive that I can't watch most sporting events and not be heavily impacted by the outcome. I'm thankful that my future wife knows me and accepts me for who I am, so it's not an issue with her. I just hate myself for how emotionally invested I am of these outcomes. While I know that I'll never be one of the super normie, I'm just hoping for a good game, guys. How can I learn to watch sports and not always react this way? If this was something that you dealt with at a younger age and improved upon, how did you do so? Okay, not super rare. I was the exact same way. So I'm just going to tell you a couple things here. As you get older, it does go away because you're just going to have other things in your life. Most people, like almost everybody, family, kids, you're sitting there losing your mind about a fucking Bills game. Although I do think sometimes, especially with football and why it's so popular, is that it's this complete escape from everything else. That's why I used to love watching baseball, because I'd get it every night where I go, well, nothing else matters. 3.5 hours, I'm watching the Sox. And that's all I cared about. But I cared about it way too much. All right. And then you start to do this thing where you want everyone to know how much you care because you want to be like, oh, who likes the Red Sox? That guy really likes the Red Sox. And it's kind of like a loser filling a void in your life deal. And I think when you're younger, we all kind of go through this where you are super into a band, but then you want to be the most into the band guy out of that group because then everybody knows like, oh, that guy really likes the band. And I was that way with the Red Sox, where if I were bartending and somebody asked if, the Red Sox would be on and somebody would ask a question, the other bartenders wouldn't even want to talk in front of me. And they just like point to me and be like, just ask him, but like, watch out, and it's stupid. And I don't know why, but I think when you're younger, you're kind of searching for some identifying thing. It's not even an identity. It's just, I want to have a thing, whether you're, the way you dress or, I don't know. Obviously now it's a little bit easier to put yourself out there in a way and you can sell some image of you. But I think that's probably what you're doing right now is that you've been sports guy so much that you kind of want everybody to know. But I'll tell you this, and this is the part where women deserve all the credit in the world for putting up with us. But can you imagine if your fiance had something that she got super fucking annoying about where she would like hate rage in the middle of the apartment and think it was totally normal and you were supposed to just deal with it and your friends are supposed to watch her get so mad? Like, just do a little role play
Housewives.
there. Yeah.
Fucking Darcy, God damn it.
For the guys listening, can you imagine if your wife or girlfriend around your group of male friends just went crazy about the things you went crazy about? And like, can you imagine how bad that would look? But as guys, we just do it and we think everybody's supposed to get out of our way. And that part, like I'm team female on that one, because as you get older, and I used to do it to, a couple girls that I was dating when I'd be younger and I'd get so mad. I remember St. John's lost a game and I was like 23 and I left my own apartment and went to a bar to like grab a chicken wrap and a Coors Light. Like that's psychotic behavior. And then everybody dealt with it. It was like, oh, Ryan really likes St. John's. Like, that's nuts. So part of it's getting older, having more elements of your life and things that you care about that distract you from this. Because when you're in that college, maybe it's high school, but that college, and then those first few years after that, you're not really quite sure what you're doing. So you have this thing that you're latching onto, and it's great. But it can be, I don't know if it's unhealthy in the way that we talk about long term. That's really unhealthy because I think for most of us, it kind of goes away. Now, look, there's some SEC schools that I've been to where I guess it never goes away, but at least it's only like 12 weekends, depending on the bowl alignment. You know what I'm saying here? But I think it's just always a little bit of a reminder there to, if you were watching you do what you're doing at a Super Bowl party and getting really, really mad and all that kind of stuff, maybe you shouldn't bet on the game, first of all. But just think how weird you would think somebody else was doing the exact same thing you're doing. And sometimes you can think you're okay because everybody's just accepted it because nobody wants to call you out for what an asshole you are about it. And that's the thing. Nobody called me out on it. And then I can look back on it and go, Oh, you know what? Like, you left your own apartment. I think St. John's lost to Gonzaga in the tournament when St. John's had a high seed, and I was like, I can't deal with this right now. And then my buddy was there with his girlfriend, and she was like, I think you care about sports too much. I'd be like, what are you talking about? Whatever. I mean, I'm embarrassed about some of this stuff, but I'm sharing it with you so you guys know that, don't do that. There you go. Okay, we got a road rage email here. I have a slight. I didn't road rage, but something happened. I think I'll share it with you guys because I think it's pretty funny. Kyle Ryan, Nate from Texas here, 24. Have a roommate we'll call John, who's also 24. We each have our own cars, but we try to carpool as much as possible wherever we go to places like the gym or the grocery store. When we ride together, we usually take turns driving to keep things fair. My dilemma is that when John drives, he can road rage pretty badly. He gets pissed off at the other drivers doing the smallest things, like speeding up in the lane next to ours to get in front of ours, or to get in front of us, right? Same thing. There have been countless times where John will honk his horn excessively, flip people off, roll his window down, yell at the person with me in the passenger seat. So far, John has never had a fight break out with anyone. The problem is I feel like it's just a matter of time before a fight does break out. It does sound like time is not on your side here. With me there, right there with him. I'm not a confrontational person by nature, so this is a little concerning for me. I definitely feel like Casey Affleck in Good Will Hunting when Chucky tells him he better be out there fighting alongside his guys. Don't get me wrong. I'd totally be there for John. However, I worry for our safety when getting into fights with randos on the streets. I've heard guys like Jocko, shout out, talk about how street fights are the dumbest things ever. How should I handle the situation? John is a really good dude outside of the car and no anger management problems otherwise. Years back, Ryan, you told a great story about the rings almost coming off in a fight. You almost had yourself thoughts. Yes, that was the watch coming off. That was years ago on the radio show. I was driving to the gym in West Hartford, and there was this horrible, horrible stretch where off the highway, they just make two lanes into one, and everybody knows it's coming. And people on the right, like you would have somebody behind you on the left, and the person on the right would floor it to pass you, and then the right lane closes, and all of a sudden you're like right up on their rear end, and you just go, cool, you floored it, got one car in front of me, and now you're stuck trying to merge into me. And so I pulled up next to the kid and was like, hey, because he knew I was pissed. I didn't give him the finger or anything like that, but like the way I was driving, where I was like, okay, and I put my hands up like, cool. And then that's where the weird thing is, like when you screw up in a car, even if you probably removed from the situation, know it's your fault, your first instinct is that you're right.
Totally.
It's really weird. I actually think it's kind of what we do in everything in a way. And the example I've used a couple times before is how many times when it's a four-way stop and somebody did something else, like, are you always the one at the four-way stop that's right? Is there ever a chance maybe you're wrong and you're doing it wrong? And chances are is that you probably had a few four-way stops that you jumped it. You were early. You were wrong. And the person that got mad at you was right. But you didn't handle it that way because you're in the car and something happens to us where you looked at them and you're like, oh, fuck you too then. And you're like, no, you went first. He pointed it out. And you want to talk about college football polls. We are unmovable when it comes to any kind of traffic argument. So, yeah, I pulled up. We went back to a stoplight. So there were two lanes again. I think it was like 3 lanes before you get into the town. And I think I rolled down the window and he rolled his down. And he was like a skinny, redheaded kid. I mean, he might have been. I think he was in college. He couldn't be in high school. I don't think. But as you get older, you think everybody looks younger and the other way around. So I'm going to say he was like college, early 20s or something. And he's like, what? And I was like, look, man, that was really fucking stupid. Really? Like you had to do that? He's like, fuck, it's 2 lanes. And then it got pretty heated. And then I was like, Jesus, is this going to go? And I can't do anything, you know? It's like ESPN would have been thrilled. Be like 15 minutes off when he signed off his show. He beat up a high school kid in West Hartford because of a road rage incident. But we all have these little moments. We all have these little moments where you go, all right, you know, how am I going to keep myself in check here? How am I going to be the guy that doesn't cross the line into the street fight deal here? Because if your buddy keeps flipping everybody off every time you're in the car all of the time, and he's being this confrontational about it, it is probably going to happen at some point, and that does suck for you. So he's too young. If you're both 24, you probably can't say to him, hey, I really don't, we just don't respond to this stuff at that age, guys. Hey, John, I'd really like you to take a more. He gets in the car and he acts like an asshole. So I would say separate cars. Like that would sting, but it would be a better way of trying to have like a sit down, intervention with your buddy about the way he drives and gets mad at everybody all the time. I would just say, hey, man, you want to start fights literally to everybody. I love you. We're cool. We're roommates. But when we go to the gym from now on, I'm taking my own car until you get your shit together. And it might be weird because no guys that age ever talk to each other that way. Maybe it would freak them out a little, and maybe, but I don't know, that weird quick twitch, that super angry thing that you can have. It does start to go away a little bit, but in the car, I don't know what happens. I don't know what the science is behind that, but people get so much more mad than you would even if you were just walking around the street. Like you could bump into somebody in the street and you wouldn't be as mad as you would be if perceived slight out on the road. I had one, LA is different. And I don't drive a ton anymore because I don't. There's nowhere to go. I had a dude. This is pretty funny, but I was coming down Sepulveda, which is a major, throughway through all the South Bay towns of LA, and there's a lot of cars. And I'm coming up through a green light, and it's like sort of cresting over and then down again. And a guy just went right on red in front of me to the point where I had to slam on the brakes. I mean, it was a total dick move. The guy either didn't see me or didn't care. And that's the other thing. Guys that drive that way, I hate you guys that do that, because if everybody did you're so selfish to do it that way. And well, if everybody did it your way, no one would ever get anywhere because we'd all be in twisted hunks of fire here. And so I did the kind of two hands up where it was come on, man. Are you serious with that? And then he rolled down his rooftop and threw his hand out the window and did all sorts of signs, let's just say. And here's what I would I don't know if they're real or not. I don't know. They look pretty good. They looked real choreographed, and there was a bunch of signs going at the same time. And I would put it this way. That's one way to win any sort of road argument before it ever escalates. Because 99% of the people looking at some guy sticking a bunch of signs out the window of a car at you, a lot of times the other guy's going to back down. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just observing it. That's life advice for this week or for today. Please subscribe, rate, and review the Ryen Russillo podcast, and follow on Spotify as part of the Ringer Network. We have two huge things coming up here soon, two specials that we've been working on tirelessly. So hopefully we'll have those out for you soon. Thanks.